This is part of the problem, right? I'm contacting the council, right? Contact Roads and Highways, Transport, right? Your message required. Well, I didn't even put one paragraph there. There's only just one paragraph, right? 4 words remaining. Now I need to put the petition link. Right? There's something wrong with these forms, right? It's obstructive. The more information, the more thorough information, clear information, I don't know how you can submit a professional representation to the council if you can't put it. Now, if they're saying, oh, if you want to add more information than that, use email or whatever, but why have the form? The form's meant to be for ease of use because it's convenient. Why else would you want to use a form? You know, even if the form's only to say there's something in the street's broken, you can't even really put much information in there or attach any photographs. It's almost like we're being obstructed from being able to have the capacity to make a proper, thorough, quality communication. It's actually like that in a lot of the other forms that they've got, and I think it's on purpose. I've been on other councils' websites, what they've got, and it's not like this. They've got a lot of thorough, clear communication, and those areas are areas what I don't think that the government have any grievance against or there's any issue with. It's our area that has been under attack, where they want to succeed in what they're doing and defeat us and beat us. And in areas like this, they don't want us to be able to make successful representations and enter successful data, really, or else you would be able to. It's in the area where they want to make sure that the co-op gets built in Almondbury, where they make sure that the King, then they're wanting to upgrade the King James School in Almondbury, then they're wanting to build HS2 and HS3. The area where it's happening is the area where the council's forms that you use are the forms that don't give you adequate capacity to enter information properly. And then the council are trying to say, oh, we can't accept this or that information, when a case is a case. When you bring a case to a court or a case to government, the weight of the case, the strength on the case, rests on your ability to have evidence, witnesses, statements, information, photos, the case. The less they claim that you can put, or the less that they claim is relevant, then you don't have a case. It's almost a defeatist attitude. It's actually it is a defeatist attitude, and it's a defeatist strategy. It is defeatism, because that's part of the strategy, is have forms that do not allow people to make strong or successful actions. Now you might say, well, we're successful in some or others. The ones that people succeed in seem to be when it's something that the other party is not that bothered about. But in the majority of its actions, to safeguard, to make sure that, we're limited. It's almost like putting a limiter on us. We're going to do this. The council are going to do this. The council are going to do that. The council are going to do something else. And it's almost like now they're putting on the streets. They're, traffic calming here, traffic calming there. It's almost like it's a petition calming or objection calming. That's what this is. what it is it's complaint calming and it's objection calming. And calming's not even the right word to use. It's actually limiting. You're limiting objections, you're limiting information, and you're limiting of the people of the capacity for success because it's under control. And that's what's been happening. I mean, look at the state of the area now. From what's actually happened from the ICI and the tram station. We've not really had any proper say in what's happening with the buses, and then they're putting all those weird characters on the buses. We're actually being dominated, and that's what the government do. The government rule. It's about, this is what's happening with the King James School. But our area is not being celebrated. It's not a celebration. Not when William Legg is cocking the leg up and taking a pee on us. And when, on old maps, it's saying Leghill on there. Oh, Leghill. And Waterloo didn't exist until they create Waterloo. There was a place called Leghill, which is meant to be French, Legills is, gills is in French for like a part of a mushroom has gills on it, right? But Waterloo didn't exist. And then when they create it, then we've got Earl Dartmouth is, swanning around, building here, building there, HS2, affiliated with the Co-op, affiliated with the Co-op franchise, with investors through BlackRock and Vanguard. And then he's coming and, he's William Legg, he's cocking the leg. They've already cocked the leg on the Warriors' Tomb site by putting that building on top of it directly. I mean, there was the war on. If there was any restrictions applied when Varley started excavating Castle Hill, the war broke out. So that's like archaeology calming. Never mind archaeology calming. It's clear intervention. It's intervention in archaeology. For 6 years, all men are sent to war. We don't exactly know what's going on. And then the site's sealed off, 1954. We've been conquered. And we're being absolutely hustled by Kirklees Council strategically. Strategic planning is no longer strategic just for the council to strategise what's the best financial way, to do something. It's actually done in a way, how can we best get around the public's objections? Yet all the time they're claiming, it's for the public, for the people, for the people, for the people. But why is it when we go into the groups, when they first mentioned the King James School, everyone on the Facebook groups were complaining about it and saying they weren't happy about it getting expanded. They haven't really been able to do anything. Everyone's working and everyone hasn't got enough money to really act. And then by the time you get yourself together, there's all these obstructed forms, restricted forms, calmed forms, right? The calmed forms. And then when you try and do petitions, all at the Messengers Limited, you have to pay people to help you, or you have to get people to help, and usually they ain't got time, even though on the groups they clearly openly voice and are happy about it. But the newspaper never publishes that. In fact, the newspaper is part of the strategic planning, because Tony Earnshaw and newspaper reporters are trained and groomed. All these newspapers end up being owned by the BlackRock Vanguard group, we find out. So they're really acting for the other party. And they're publishing news stories to make things look like this or that. I think a lot of the accidents have been set up on purpose as well, to make it look like we need traffic calming, we need all these certain things. The traffic lights are being messed with. Strategically put timing on it, it actually makes it busy, and then it gives them an excuse to say, now we need to do some work on it. And who's employed to do the work is the contractors. And who owns the contractors? Who's making a profit out of it? Keeping contractors busy is a way for a lot of money to be made for the people who own it and the investors. And it is Dartmouth's camp. It's Earl Dartmouth's camp. With the ICI, a lot of money was made out of the investors. But the area is spoiled and ruined, the heritage. They cocked a leg over it. And that is what this petition's about. And that is what these people are signing to agree with. I've now got over 800, and the more time I get, the more signatures I can get. On the other petition that's in connection with this, for the heritage area in Castle Hill as well, we've got over 1,000. And this one's for the heritage area and against HS2 and about the King James School and about the traffic calming, because this is what the evidence that I found in my other petition is about. Illegal road signage wasn't put up to help people. Road signage was put up to mislead people and put up unlawfully, illegally. But yeah, it's claimed to be there to help. And then we're getting onto subjects. George Galloway now on an official political party channel, the Workers' Party, he's challenging the royal establishment. He's actually a politician on a political channel. He's speaking out about the royal family and saying that, you know, that they should really be removed or should stand down, because we've got evidence of corruption and it's all for profit. And that evidence on the Vanguard BlackRock, the videos on the evidence of that shows the network of business connections. The whole council strategy is not actually to help the people it purports to. It's about business, council business, which is business for the council, but who are the profiteers in that franchise? It's Dartmouth who ends up with the land and ends up building houses and making profits from houses. And then the King James School gets expanded. Oh, King James School, it's all for the names of the royals. Rather than, oh, Almondbury village is a nice village with very narrow roads. It's nice and quiet and looks beautiful. Let's leave it as it is. It's an asset. No, let's expand the King James School. Make it big. Bring loads of kids in. That'll make the roads more unsafe. Then we'll need to put traffic calming in. Then we'll need to adjust the village. I own the shares in the co-op with my friends, Earl Dartmouth. We're going to get the Rose and Crown pub. No one's going to object to it being converted because there's no planning notice there properly in place. When we ask JP Wild what's going on, oh, potentially, we don't know what we're doing yet. Oh, don't know what we're doing yet, right? It's the same at other sites. Then the co-op gets a bigger co-op. They just want to sell more stuff and make more money. And then bring more people into the village. We don't seem to be able to do anything because we're having a coordinated, strategic assault. It's like chess. But they sell the council strategy planning for, oh, what can we do to help you all out, what to help the public out? It's not to help the public out. It's to make profit for Earl Dartmouth BlackRock Vanguard Group. They're strategically going to... No one in Dalton who lives in Dalton, which is the area that got made into a mess, where Tyler Hawkins now is the councillor. People who live in Dalton can't afford to buy new massive house builds at Fenny Bridge, right? They're too expensive. Everyone says they're too expensive and that they're wanting a fortune for them. That's what the conversation is on the buses. Tracy Brabin now's having the big bus chat meant to improve the bus services. The only people who are going to be interested in or buying expensive houses in Fenny Bridge are more Tory voters, which is going to bring more Tory voters into the area for Bernard McGuinn and Richard Smith, right? And John Taylor, Tories. That's the strategy. It's not, oh, we're going to help you all out. Let's make Almondbury, let's keep Almondbury Village beautiful. Let's enhance our heritage of the local area. Oh, there's a historic ancient site that's been absolutely piled on with houses and built on top of. Cock the leg over it. Oh, look, it's William Legg. It used to be called Dowton, and now it's a toilet. Waterloo, a conflict. Just like the conflict between the Lib Dems and the Tories and the Roundheads and the Royalists that actually, when our area took sides with the Roundheads. We're not... Kirk, this is evidence. You have to look at events. What happened in this event? What happened in that event? What is the outcome? Who are they affiliated with? We need to be intelligent and put evidence down over time to build up a picture. Never mind the council strategy, what they're doing now. What have they been doing with the Imperial Chemical Industries? It could have been built somewhere else. With the Blackmore Foot Reservoir at another site. Cutting to the side of it. When Varley started excavating Castle Hill, the heritage, the war broke out. Men were sent to service. No one could see what was going on. It's suspicious circumstances. And I think a lot of the car accidents are being rigged and staged in order to make it look dangerous, so then they've got an argument, an excuse to do more roadworks and build more surveillance and things like that. I've got the evidence on the illegal road signage. It was put out unlawfully, strategically planned. That's what the council strategic planning unit do. Plan where the road sign is going. And what did they do at the Ossett bypass, Haslingden, all over England? I've got evidence on my website for. They put it up unlawfully and illegally and made massive amounts of money through fines. In fact, that fine money from the Ossett bypass paid for all Wakefield Town Centre doing, right? So you could say, oh, it's helping out the people of Wakefield. Yeah, and they stole money from other people by misleading them, claiming it was for safety when it was all for fines. The Bull Ring in Wakefield, there was actually... Wakefield's lucky to have that Guildhall and some cobbled streets in the centre still. The Royal Forces must be something on their side. We've got an issue, right, in the government where we've got different parties and different affiliations, and we've got a royal affiliation, right, and we've got opposition. And the royal prerogative is to make its name glorified and powerful and project that through its actions, particularly to make it hard to beat them, by you not seeing what they're up to, right? And the full fruition of that in Ireland now, where BlackRock and Vanguard companies have bought out all the developers and they've pulled the wool over the eyes of the people in Ireland, and they made laws so they can't even object to stopping building, that you can't put an objection in if it's over a certain size. You've got to make an observation, but to make that observation, to see what they're doing, right? For you to say, I can see what you're up to. I know what you're doing. I can see what you're doing, right? I've got to pay €20, so I'm instantly fined. It's a little fine. Oh, I want to make an observation. Do you want to watch what we're up to and make comment? That's €20. That's the fruition of where Earl Dartmouth and BlackRock Vanguard's going and where the Tory party were heading. Until they've actually, at the last minute, they've changed their mind now. So we can still object. That's where they were wanting to take it. So they don't want us to see planning notices. Now, they can't get away with it always because certain ones have a lot of attention, or you might get a councillor themselves who are really, really opposed to it, right? But where they can get away with it, or where they really want to, it won't be put up on the Facebook groups. It won't appear in the Examiner. It'll just secretly and slyly happen, and no one will have noticed. And then they'll start, and then it's usually too late. This is part of the strategy. And people don't really make the connections. Oh, the Rose and Crown's getting done with the Co-op. Why is that? Oh, well, because they're upgrading the King James School. Oh, are they? Well, I didn't know about that one. Well, yeah, and then they're going to change all the village layout and all the old streets. They're going to build extensions from pavements into it and change it all and put more signage up. Why is that? Oh, because there's going to be kids everywhere on little tiny narrow roads. Well, aren't little tiny narrow roads a bit too small to have loads of school kids around? Well, tough. Yet, when they first mention it, everyone in the village on those Facebook groups are saying, they're not happy about it and they don't like it. But everyone's working under employment for companies, mainly companies that are owned by these groups, and they haven't got the spare time or money to put into it. So, many people don't want these things to happen that the council are doing. It's not an improvement. You have to put time in. But when it's done strategically, it's like wrestling. Once they get you in an old, they're claiming that we've got democracy. They're claiming that we can have a say, that we can petition. Right? But yet forms are restricted in how much amount of writing you can put. I can't even put one paragraph here. Now I can't even fit, after this one paragraph, I can't even fit an earl, right? An address. We're being dominated and ruled. We're not actually having democracy. Once they start making the wrestling old moves, they get hold of the Rose and Crown pub, right? And then the council grab hold of the school with the other hand. And then what are we going to do with HS2? And HS3 housing. And then there's Castle Hill. They're trying to make this sweeping move and they've got key points, right? It's like rock climbing. When you're rock climbing, you've got those handholds, right? And once they're fixed on, right? And then you start climbing up and you lock your harness in, then you climb up some more, then you lock your harness to the next thing. That is how they are rolling this, right? And with the road safety act, I think that they're creating accidents. And this is the thing that they will not put in the news or in the Examiner. Because the newspapers are owned by these affiliates. And this is what the evidence is. Road signage was put out unsafe, illegally, and profits were made out of people, and that money did go to do town centres up. Now, at some point, they changed it so all the money goes to central government, not straight to councils, but it does. Money's been flowing to Huddersfield, to this area, because that camp have wanted to build heavily in this area, focus on it. It's Dartmouth, William Legg, cocking a leg. That's why it's on the map, on the hotspot. That's why they've got the letter D on the Alex Hogg map, which is affiliated with their party anyway. And then they go and build a street on there. Imperial Chemical Industries. Huddersfield is under spoilment from the Royalists. And the word spoiled even gets perverted. So they use the word spoil so, rich people get too much or get given too many things, right? Spoiling just means ruining something or marring it. Our area is being actually spoiled and ruined. And HS2 and HS3, all it's going to do is it's not helping any poor people out in Huddersfield. It's not helping anyone out in Dalton or anyone in Almondbury Village out. It's bringing in voters to back up the ranks for Bernard McGuinn, John Taylor and Richard Smith and the other Tories. It's going to bring more Tory voters in to give them more strength and hold of that party who wants to expand the King James School and who has already conquered and dominated Dalton. Yet, our local Tory councillors are helping them out because they don't actually really like or care about our area. Really, not in the style and taste of it being nice in relation to other places around the country. When you classify, categorise what is nice and what isn't nice. You need to go look around and what there is to know what's nice. Unfortunately, in our area, it's got to a point where, we're building loads of new houses. They're nice. No, that's not nice. The countryside around our area is nice. There were nice houses around our area that were nice. In fact, one of the councillors has actually signed one of the petitions and agreed with us, although it seems that they're not in agreement when it comes to the traffic calming, but that is only required because of a result of what's happened with the King James School. We're actually having it forced on us when the people of the village were opposed to it. Now I'm getting people of the area to sign, and I've got over 800. 800 signatures stopped houses getting built in Lepton, right? Now, I believe this petition, we've got people signing to agree with the fact that the area is getting spoiled and ruined, and people understand what's happening. It's not just HS2 and HS3 houses. It's not just King James School. It's not just the Warriors' Tomb and Castle Hill. It's the whole area. It's everything that's happening. Because really, the council are claiming to have, that's the road department and the planning for the roads. Then we've got, the cycle lane plan. But then we had another department planning on what we're doing with Castle Hill with the Tandies. And then we've got the town centre regeneration. They're trying to pretend that it's all separate issues. And then what they're saying, we needed to get 3,000 signatures on that. And then you can get another, 800 signatures if you want to block that bit and that bit. But the council, they've got the capacity to do the whole thing. They're doing the whole thing. And they've got entire departments and people paid all day in a full-time job to strategically, right, part by part, advance on us, right? We're fully funded. But yet they say, have you say, when all the say forms are limited. The say forms are calmed. The say forms are limited to one paragraph. Why should we, when we see the big picture of what's going on, and we don't have to pay €20 to make an observation on it like they do in Ireland, and when you can see the planning notice in the first place to know you've got a chance to object in time before it's too late, right? Even though, it's never too late when John Perkins buys a property in the town centre and gets permission to do something to it, then he sells it, then someone else buys it, they get permission to change it again, then it's passed, then they want to do someone else with it, and then he sells it, and then someone buys a garden centre, and then he gets permission to make it into a garden centre, right? The council have already made a decision, because that would mean that even the council can't change the town centre or do anything if no one else can. If it's too late. That's the problem, right? It's never too late. Because if it was too late to stop HS2, too late to stop King James School expanding, too late to save the Warriors' Tomb, right? Then it would be too late for the council to do it in the first place. It's all about what support you get and what evidence you have. And the public haven't got the money or time. They haven't got the time. They haven't got the money. Because Earl Dartmouth and the aristocracy who own Blackguard and Van Rock have siphoned all of the money out of us. And they own it in their shares, and now they own all the companies. They are dominating and ruling us. It's like John Corn. He owns a factory in Murfield. He's got Arthur Murfield working there, right? At work, he's the boss. He tells them what to do, right? He does what he wants in his factory, but if he wants to put permission in, all those people who work there can vote against him if they want. That's why the Tories wanted to remove the right to object. And then John Connors has cheated planning permission. That's in the petition. Opposite the Three Nuns, Yorkshire Water, protected land with trees. Travellers used to park there. John Connors didn't like travellers. He absolutely wanted to build on that bit of land, right? It was protected by Yorkshire Water. It was a beautiful piece of land with trees because there was a sewage works next to it. So they had to have a nice piece of land in a walled area with trees and grass, right? And John Cottons bought it and ignored the protection of it, half of it, so he could get his car park into it and chip into the side of it with his tarmac when it was illegal. And I've put this case to Yorkshire Water and I've put it to Kirklees Council. That's another piece of evidence. To prove they're doing it, you have to build up a case. You build up a case of evidence. Now, to say bank robbers are robbing banks, you don't just say they robbed one bank. You get evidence that they robbed multiple banks to prove that they robbed banks, right? Now, when John Cottons is collaborating with Yorkshire Water and Kirklees Council, and they've let him build a car park there on some protected land, they've collaborated together to cheat the protection of that land. And now we know that they're wanting to stop travellers parking on land like that because the Tories want to try and eradicate the entire culture and civilization of gypsy travellers. Now, whether you like gypsy travellers or not, and I've delivered to a lot of them for work, and I got a lot of tips from them because I thought they were quite trustworthy. That's not the point. Are we running? Are we having protection orders on lands? And are we running a legitimate, honest authorities? Or are we lying and cheating? And John Cottons has cheated with Kirklees and Yorkshire Water on that land by the sewage works. They cheated on it. They took it from Murfield. It was a major, beautiful little piece entering Murfield that marked when you were entering there. It was historic, like when other villages have the stocks at the other sides of Murfield. It was a beautiful walled area with trees and a forest, right, and a nice wooden fence. It was part of Murfield, what made Murfield the image of Murfield. And John Cottons went and ruined it. Now, John Cottons is Tory affiliated, and he's likely got investors in his company with that party who is in question now, who have been doing it at other sites. This is how we gather evidence and can see what they are up to. What they're up to. Where was the planning notice opposite that land? None. Where's the planning notice outside the Rose and Crown in Almondbury? None. Until after. When I'm asking them, when I'm going there every day, they didn't want us to see it. And that's when they get it past you, they have won you. It's like that's part of the compo thing. The whole compo bit. He's having if he doesn't see it, then I've beaten him, right? In Ireland, he beats you anyway because he fines you €20 to be allowed to see what he's up to be allowed to comment on what he's doing. What is the old Dartmouth up to here? If I have to pay €20 to give evidence against Earl Dartmouth, but yet they're using the courts against us when we're going on their roads and they're fining us, yet they're strategically placing illegal road signage all over England. They're strategically... That Dartmouth's camp have sent money to Kirklees Council. Other areas not. But it's treated as, it's a good thing. We're getting money in for funding to do stuff. Why? Because Dartmouth wanted to continue ruining that area, and it's now moving into Almondbury village. Dolan has been ruined. And it's all in the symbology and meaning. It's all in the titles and all in the names. William Legg, cocking the leg on Waterloo. It's on the map. It's in the map, writing and wording. These men take style. It's a panache. It's panache. It's their style. It makes them look good to their other peers. It's almost his compo. Yeah, they're pretending that they're doing something good when they're not actually doing us a favour. He's doing himself a favour, he's making money, and he's helping his own party's continued assault on this area, which also was part of World War II breaking off. When Valley started excavating it, which potentially could have saved it, protected it, got it more prestige and renowned in England, and actually built beauty around it, not shrapneling it with graveyards, which the graveyard is another thing. There's been an attack next to Castle Hill. Why don't they put a graveyard next to the White Horse, Huffington, or next to Old Oswestry Fort right next to it? Part of this is evidence. Now, we can't take Earl Dartmouth and his Tories to court because no one can afford to. In fact, the police should investigate them, but they actually are rank and file above the police, the royal family. The royal family are in charge of the army. We've got issues, and people are signing to agree that it's all connected. HS2, King James School, the traffic, the ancient sites. People are signing the statement and signing the evidence. So Kirklees Council cannot ignore the evidence. And George Galloway is speaking out on his broadcasting and channel. I'm not the only person saying it, and it's no longer taboo. George Galloway speaking out against the royals and asking them to step down. And we've got evidence on them for being corrupt. So if George Galloway is broadcasting it and he's talking about it in his programme, it can go in here as further evidence.